Many people today have a very bad understanding of what the church is. They think of the church as a place in which they go. They think of the church as a building or a piece of property or an address or, a room that they go in and they gather together in. But friends, that's not the church at all. In fact, the church in its essence is the assembling of one another. But what the church is the body of Christ. Not only is the church the body of Christ, the church is the bride of Christ. And so when we begin to understand that when we are saved, when we come to salvation, we are to get plugged in and involved in the body of Christ as the bride of Christ. Who's Jesus coming back after? Jesus is coming back after that spotless and unblemished bride. That's who he's coming back after. He's coming back after the church. Who's going to be raptured in the end of days? It's going to be the church. Now, friend, if you're saved, you need to be plugged into a church. Now, being plugged into a church doesn't save you. Only come to Jesus Christ by faith saves you. But a saved person ought to have the desire to be plugged into a church. Now, we come up with all kinds of excuses. Well, somebody hurt my feelings in the church. Well, somebody probably hurt your feelings in Walmart too, or driving down the road. It doesn't stop you from driving down the road. Doesn't stop you from going to Walmart. It's just an excuse. Now, they are not representing Jesus, and so we need to pray for those individuals if they're being mean-spirited or unbiblical, and we need to teach them the truth of the Word of God. But by no means should it ever stop you from going to church and being a part of the church. Why? Because Jesus is Lord, and Jesus tells us that He is the one who establishes the church. And not only does He establish the church, the Bible tells us in His Word not to forsake the gathering of one another, the assembling of one another. And as Jesus as Lord, we need to understand we don't look to people in our relationship with Him, in our relationship with the church. We look to Him. Why? Because He is the head of the church. Jesus is the head of the church. He is the head of the body. The Bible makes that extraordinarily clear. Now, to say anybody other than Jesus Christ is the head of the church, it is not only untrue, it is not only biblically inaccurate, I believe it's outright blasphemy, because no one else other than Jesus Christ is the head of the church. And if Jesus is the head of the church, then friends, I need to be plugged into the church, and you need to be plugged into the church. We need to be active, we need to be involved, because Jesus is Lord, and Jesus is the head of the church, and it's Jesus that we serve. Therefore, we're going to get plugged into a church. We're going to get active. We're going to get involved. We're going to allow the church to invest in us to where we can grow. We're not going to grow without being involved in a church, and we're not going to use all these crazy excuses that Satan throws our way of why we're not going to get plugged in, but we're going to be biblical. Most important, we're going to submit ourselves to Jesus as Lord, and as Lord, He is the head of the church.